I hope you can all see the slides and hear my voice. All right. आज हम लोकवाग के वर्सेस 175 और 176 कंसिडर करेंगे। वर्स 175 है इंस भिक्खुवत्थु और कंटेक्स्ट है द स्टोरी ऑफ 30 भिक्खुस, और ये जितवन की बात है with reference to 30 bhikkhus. Once 30 bhikkhus came to pay homage to the Buddha. एक बार कुछ 30 भिक्षु भगवान को होमेज पे करने, भगवान की श्रद्धा व्यक्त करने आए। When they came in, the venerable Ananda, who was then attending to the Buddha, left the room and waited outside. तो जब वो अंदर गए तो वेनरेबल आनंदा, जो कि उस वक्त भगवान की सेवा में थे, उन्होंने कमरा छोड़ के बाहर आ गए, बाहर वेट कर रहे थे। After some time, Thera Ananda went in, but he did not find any of the bhikkhus. थोड़े समय के बाद वो अंदर गए तो देखा कि अंदर तो कोई भी भिक्षु नहीं है। So he asked the Buddha where all those bhikkhus had gone. तो ने भगवान से पूछा इसके बारे में। Buddha then replied, Ananda, all those bhikkhus, after hearing my discourse, had attained arhatship, and with their supernormal powers, they left traveling through space. तो वो सब भिक्षु मेरे डिस्कोर्स के बाद अरहतशिप उनको मिल गई थी, और सब सुपर नॉर्मल पावर्स उनको मिल गई थी, और वो दे लेफ्ट ट्रैवलिंग थ्रू स्पेस पे आकाश के द्वारा चले गए हैं। And the Buddha spoke in verse as follows. Ansadicchya pathe yanti akase yanti dhiya niyanti dhira lokamha jetva marang savahining. Hansa dichpathe yanti, swans fly on the path of the sun. Men pass through the air by psychic powers. Akase yanti indhiya. Niyanti dhira lokama. The wise are led away from the world. Jetva marang savahining. After vanquishing Mara and his host. And Ajahn Manindo इसकी translation इस प्रकार करते हैं. White swans rise into the air. Adept yogis transport themselves through space. Wise beings transcend worldly delusion by outwitting the hordes of Mara. Basically, बड़ी सिंपल सा वर्स है। जो स्वैंस हैं वो आकाश में उड़ते हैं, और जो साइकिक पावर्स सिद्धि प्राप्त किए हुए पुरुष हैं वो हवा में चल सकते हैं, हवा के रास्ते में जा सकते हैं। लेकिन जो वाइज हैं वो इस दुनिया से ही दूर हो जाते हैं और led away in the sense of vanquishing Mara and his army. Basically वो जन्म मृत्यु के बंधन से ऊपर उठ जाते हैं या निम्मान प्राप्त कर लेते हैं, शायद इसका ये भी मतलब लगाया जा सकता है। अगर वर्ष में कुछ देखना हो तो 1 मिनट देख लीजिए, फिर मैं आगे बढ़ता हूँ। तो इस पे मैंने विचार करने का प्रयत्न किया, तो मुझे कुछ इस प्रकार समझ अपनी जो मन में विचार आए वो इस प्रकार के थे। इट इज़ हार्ड समटाइम्स टू रिलेट टू द स्टोरीज ऑफ सुप। ये मैं अपनी बात कर रहा हूँ और हो सकता है ये आप सबके विचारों से थोड़ा भिन्न हो। It is hard sometimes to relate to the stories of supernormal powers of accomplished yogis, especially in our so-called rational minds. शायद आपके लिए भी कुछ ऐसा ही महसूस होता हो कि हम जब ये कहानियाँ सुनते हैं कि accomplished yogis जो बहुत सिद्ध अपनी साधना में बहुत यक्ष होते हैं, दक्ष होते हैं, तो वो सुपरनॉर्मल पावर्स मिल जाती हैं उनको। हमें हमारे लिए कभी-कभी एक्सेप्ट करना मुश्किल हो जाता है। Despite the enormous faith and gratitude that Bhagwan's teachings arouse in the mind of one who tries to understand and practice these teachings, there is also the frustration sometimes of not being able to fully relate to teachings like life beyond death, either in terms of rebirth or going beyond birth and death, that is Nibbana. तो हालांकि हम जो साधना है इस रास्ते पर है और भगवान की टीचिंग्स के प्रति हमारी पूरी श्रद्धा और ग्रेटिट्यूड है, क्योंकि वो हमें एक सही रास्ते का दर्शन तो देती ही है और काफ़ी उससे हमें सुकून मिलता है, काफ़ी अच्छा रास्ता मिलता है। लेकिन कभी-कभी फ्रस्ट्रेशन ये होती है कि हम उनकी सभी शिक्षाओं को, सभी टीचिंग्स से के साथ फुली रिलेट नहीं कर पाते। और शायद ये मेरी अपनी वीकनेस है कि इन टर्म्स ऑफ रीबर्थ और गोइंग बियॉन्ड बर्थ एंड डेथ, ये सुनने में तो अच्छी लगती हैं और ठीक लगती हैं, बट फिर भी थोड़ा उनसे रिलेट करना मुश्किल है। फुल्ली रिलेट करना मुश्किल है, दैट्स व्हाट आई वुड लाइक टू से। रिलेट तो थोड़ा बहुत कर सकते हैं, बट फुल्ली रिलेट करना मुश्किल है। एंड वी वंडर व्हाट कुड दिस रियली मीन, ये सब का मतलब क्या है, एंड वेदर दिस इज इन द डोमेन ऑफ साइंटिफिक इंक्वायरी। सो ये सब क्वेश्चंस दिमाग में आते हैं। दिस कैन एंड डज मेक अस वंडर whether we could realize this knowledge for ourselves or power of vision through our own practice. तो कभी-कभी मन में ये भी आता है कि क्या ये सब आजकल के साधकों में या हम हमारे लिए भी पॉसिबल है क्या? फिर विचार आया कि मे बी इट इज़ पॉसिबल, मे बी इट इज़ नॉट। हो सकता है हो सकता है ना हो। द स्क्रिप्चर्स सर्टेनली इंडिकेट दैट वी कीप आवर माइंड्स ओपन टू सच पॉसिबिलिटीज़। स्क्रिप्चर्स में जो इतनी विविड डिस्क्रिप्शन है इन चीज़ों की, उससे इतना तो लगता है कि हमें अपनी माइंड इस बारे में ओपन रखनी चाहिए, बंद नहीं कर लेना चाहिए। और कुछ चीज़ें तो ऐसी हैं जो इसके बिना ठीक से समझ भी नहीं आएंगी। द लॉ ऑफ कर्मा और कॉजलिटी certainly becomes so much more accessible if we assume the truth of these exhortations of the Buddha scattered throughout his teachings. और जो लॉ ऑफ कर्मा है या कॉजलिटी का जो लॉ है, they make much more sense if we assume that these things are really true, and to that extent, therefore you feel that yes, there is a possibility. But perhaps this kind of pursuit is not basic to our Dhammachand of transcending suffering. लेकिन that apart, सबसे बड़ी बात शायद ये है कि ये हमारी धम्मचंद जो इस वक्त जिसकी हम साधना कर रहे हैं सब, कि हमें सफरिंग को ट्रांसेंड करना है, उस ऑब्जेक्टिव के लिए इतना रेलिवेंट भी नहीं है शायद। And living a life of perfect ease, transcending suffering and living a life of perfect ease, independent of our internal or external conditions. अगर हम अपने अंदर और बाहर की कंडीशंस से इंडिपेंडेंट एक परफेक्ट ईज की लाइफ बिना सफरिंग के जी सकें, so that's our real objective. This is perhaps where our focus should remain as Dhamma practitioners, and Bhagwan is exhorting us to do just that in this verse. और शायद भगवान इस वर्ष में हमें यही संदेश देना भी चाहते हैं कि ठीक है, आप सिद्धियां भी प्राप्त कर सकते हैं, यदियां भी प्राप्त कर सकते हैं, लेकिन जो बुद्धिमान लोग हैं वो इस चीज़ पर ज़्यादा ध्यान देते हैं। मैंने इसका ये मतलब लगाया है। आई होप आई एम नॉट टू रॉन्ग।
एसपी साहब, बहुत अच्छा आपने रिफ्लेक्शन दिया है। हम सब उसी लेवल पे वॉन्डर करते रहते हैं, तो इसमें यू आर नॉट एट ऑल रॉन्ग। जो हमारे लेवल है उसके हिसाब से आपका परफेक्ट रिफ्लेक्शन है। तो अगर सर साहब कुछ कहना चाहें तो इस पे और प्रकाश डालें तो दैट बी रियली वंडरफुल।
It's a very truthful statement. So, what I can say is, for different people, there will be different levels of experience, and therefore they would have different. I can say that I've met with some people who have psychic powers. Then, and they have, under difficult circumstances, demonstrated it, which is very well known to me and to many others. And regarding rebirth also, there's enough experience now. अभी अमेरिका में है, I would suggest you spend some time in University of Virginia and visit their center. They have a full documentation that Professor Ian Stevenson, जो psychiatrist थे, he started with the very correctly with a skeptic mind कि ये सब Eastern philosophy लोग जो है rebirth की बात करते हैं, ये सब doesn't make sense. So he started documenting evidence, and then he got plenty of verifiable evidence. And then he thought maybe it is a Eastern phenomena. I will not accept and publish it till such time as I get Western. And he started getting from West, from Australia, from USA. And then he eventually said, yeah, I think it does. There is something which is beyond rationality. We can't really investigate it in a typical scientific, objective manner, because these are things which are too subtle for present science to really figure out. So आप यूएस में तो अगर समय मिले तो आपको यूनिवर्सिटी ऑफ वर्जीनिया में
मैंने देखी हो वेबसाइट, आप ठीक कह रहे हैं, वहाँ पे काफी रेफरेंसेस हैं, काफी.
So they're doing these studies of extrasensory perceptions and paranormal, and quite a substantial number of verifiable evidence is now available. What I'm saying is just that the law of karma will not make sense otherwise, unless we have.
हाँ, ये बात तो सही है, बिल्कुल.
Makes sense. But the conclusion you have derived is perfect, of course. We need to focus on that. But there also, how would we know that we have really come to that understanding that there will be the keen asa hoye? Would it be just because we are living with perfect ease, or would it be something more deeper than that?
So that's the problem. We don't understand that yet.
Yeah, so that's very perfectly fine. I think I very deeply appreciate it. Yeah.
Thank you.
Vijay has also given one comment and question. What is a rational mind? और उनका comment है, there are plenty of verifiable instances of these extraordinary occurrences involving Thai forest Kurba Ajans. So ये Kurba Ajans कौन होते हैं?
Senior, well established, you can say. I won't put that there fully. They're accomplished people. In 30-40 साल हो गए साहब.
So it's a
Adjective.
Adjective. Okay. So Prasad, what is the rational? I mean, he's also asking, what is the rational mind?
I think Vishal probably understands what I mean, but obviously I'm referring to minds which are educated in the current system of education, and that's about all I mean, nothing more than that. That our present education does not easily make these teachings accessible to us. That's all I meant to say, nothing more than that. I don't want to define rationality here in any serious sense.
That was a rhetorical question. I didn't actually expect you to answer it. It was in quotes. Because I mean, a rational mind is a mind just sort of conditioned by the present norms of what is considered rational. And I think the mind that judges and determines rationality itself changes as it experiences things that it might not otherwise have considered rational. So that's, I guess, the point I was making.
Perfectly agreeable. अच्छा, अजान मुनिंदो भी कुछ इसी प्रकार की बात कर रहे हैं. As we journey along the spiritual path, we will inevitably hear of magical feats performed by spiritual masters. तो वो ये बात कर रहे हैं कि ये तो कॉमन हियरिंग है, आप कॉमन सुनते हैं इस तरह के फीट्स जो कई लोग कर पाते हैं. Even if some people do experience profound states of absorption and have powerful psychic abilities, wanting such experiences to occur can be an obstruction to development. तो उनका ये बड़ा important point है कि getting into a desire of wanting such states as a result of your sadhana, as an objective of your sadhana, is probably going to be an obstruction to your sadhana. ये काफी अच्छा important point उन्होंने बनाया.
Yeah.
We are wise to remember that Mara can appear in any guise. तो वही बात कह रहे हैं कि obstruction बन सकती है ये. Without well-established embodied awareness, we easily ascribe more value to special experiences than they deserve. तो शायद ठीक है उनकी importance है, लेकिन उससे भी ज़्यादा importance है embodied awareness की. So I think that is the point he's making. The feat the Buddha praised was that of transcending delusion. कुछ इसी तरह का conclusion है अजान मुनिंदो की reflection.
Yeah, this statement is perfect. But how would anybody know that I have transcended delusion?
That question remains.
It's not a rational statement, isn't it? How would anybody know? When we have been reading on Sundays, आप भी आते हैं ना, थेरा गाथा पढ़ते हैं, तो जो उनके exaltations है अनंतों के, they don't make any rational sense. I have seen that my all defilements have gone away. How does one know? Will it be known by a rational mind, calculating mind? There will be no more rebirth. Most of them say Handedani, Rathidani, Punarbhavati. That's really, there is a transcendence involved in the teaching. We can't avoid it.
Actually, all we should say is that right now in our present state of understanding, it's not accessible to us.
That's true. That's true.
That's probably a better statement to make.
Yeah.
More correct statement.
I think in this context, what Vishal has mentioned is relevant. As we are able to elevate ourselves, our level of rationality also changes. So probably at that level, those who have become arhant, they will find it quite rational. Probably. This is my guess or imagination.
And I think this is also the role, this is highlighting the role of faith, because we vet the teachings of the Buddha at the level that we are at, and within the level that we are at, those teachings ring true. Therefore, we assume, given the gravity and purity of this message, that it's pure the entire way through till the end. So there is the role of faith, which the Buddha talked about as being important.
Yeah, very true.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Vishalji, for a good discussion. I will proceed to the next one, if you permit. So verse 176, it's called Chinch Manvika Vathu. तो इसकी कहानी वैसे तो हम सबको मालूम है और थोड़ी लंबी भी है, लेकिन I think for the purpose of completeness, I will have to go through it. So it will take a little bit of time. It extends over more than one slide. so please do bear with me. The story of चिंचमानवी का जेतवन की बात है। तो जैसे हम जानते हैं कि जैसे भगवान की पॉपुलैरिटी बड़ी, ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा लोगों के पास आने लगे धम्म को सुनने, the ascetics of other faiths found their following to be dwindling. तो बाकी फेथ के जो फॉलोइंग्स थी वो थोड़ी कम होने लगी. Obviously they became envious, so they made a plan that would harm the reputation of the Buddha. उन्होंने एक प्लान बनाया. They called the very beautiful Chinchamanvika, a devoted pupil of theirs, and sought her help to put Samana Gautam to shame. तो उसकी मदद मांगी उन्होंने कि भी आप हमारी मदद करिए इसमें, and she agreed. So that same evening, she took some flowers and went in the direction of the Jetwan monastery. तो वो जेतवन की तरफ गई कुछ फूल वगैरह लेके अपने साथ. When people asked her where she was going, she replied vaguely, "What is the use of you knowing where I'm going?" Basically, I avoided the question कि आप कहाँ जा रहे हैं, आपको इससे क्या मतलब है, kind of answer दिया उसने. Then she would go to the place of other ascetics near the Jetwan monastery and would come back early in the morning to make it appear as if she had spent the night at the Jetwan monastery. तो रात इधर उधर बिताएगी उस मोनास्ट्री के पास और सुबह सुबह वापस इस प्रकार से आ रही होगी कि जैसे कि वो जेतवन मोनास्ट्री से निकल के आ रही हो. When asked, she would reply, "I spent the night with Samana Gautam at the perfume chamber of the Jetwan monastery." तो इस कहानी हमें सबको मालूम है कि इस प्रकार से वो जवाब देती थी कि मैं रात को गौतम के समन्ना के साथ थी उनके परफ्यूम चैम्बर में. After 3 or 4 months had passed, she wrapped up her stomach with some cloth to make her look pregnant. और उसने अपने आप को प्रेगनेंसी की शेप में भी लाना गया. Then after 8 or 9 months, she wrapped up her stomach with a round piece of thin wooden plank. 8 या 9 महीने के आसपास उसने एक लकड़ी का राउंड टुकड़ा अपने स्टमक के आसपास बांध लिया. She pretended to be feeling tired and worn out. Thus, she assumed a perfect picture of a woman in an advanced stage of pregnancy. और एक advanced stage of pregnancy की pretension करने लगी. Then in the evening, she went to the Jetwan monastery to confront the Buddha. और शाम को जबकि सभा चल रही थी, तो वहाँ जेतवन मोनास्ट्री गई और भगवान बुद्ध के सामने खड़ी हो गई. The Buddha was then expounding the Dhamma to a congregation of bhikkhus and laymen. भगवान बुद्ध उस वक्त धम्म की देशना दे रहे थे भिक्खुस को और ले उपासक को. Seeing him teaching on the platform, she accused the Buddha thus. उन्होंने भगवान बुद्ध को accuse किया, "Oh, you big Samanna, you only preach to others. I am now pregnant by you, yet you do nothing for my confinement. You only know how to enjoy yourself." तो उन्होंने बेसिकली उनके ऊपर ये दोष लगाया कि ये उसकी वजह से मेरी हालत है और हम मेरा ख्याल नहीं कर रहे, सिर्फ प्रीच करना ही आता है और अपने आप को एंजॉय करना आता है. The Buddha stopped preaching for a while and said to her, "Sister, only you and I know whether you are speaking the truth or not." तो भगवान बुद्ध ने 2 मिनट रुका, थोड़ा रुके और ये बोला कि बहन तुम और मैं ही जानते हैं कि सच्चाई क्या है, कि जो आप बोल रहे हो सच है कि नहीं है. And Chinchamanvika replied, "Yes, you are right. How can others know what only you and I know?" कि बाकी लोगों को कैसे मालूम है कि जो मैं कह रही हूँ सच नहीं है. At that instant, ये सब कहानी में है, Shaka, the king of the Devas, became aware of the trouble being brewed at the Jetwan monastery. भगवान शक जब देवों के राजा शक को इस ट्रबल का पता लगा, he sent 4 of his devas in the form of young rats. उसने अपने 4 देवताओं को चूहों के वेश में भेज दिया. The 4 rats caught under the clothes of Chincha Manvika and bit off the strings that fastened the wooden plank around her stomach. और वो strings काट दी जिससे कि वो wooden plank बंधा हुआ था. As the strings broke, the wooden plank dropped, cutting off the front part of her feet. वो obviously वो लकड़ी का plank नीचे गिरा और उसके feet hurt हो गए. Thus the deception of Chinch Manvika was uncovered, and many from the crowd cried out in anger, "Oh, you wicked woman, a liar and a cheat." तो जब उसकी डिसेप्शन बहुत क्लियर हो गई तो बाकी सब लोग बहुत नाराज हुए उससे, बहुत गुस्से हुए और उससे बुरा भला कहा. हाउ डेयर यू अक्यूज आवर नोबल टीचर, कि हमारे इतने नोबल टीचर को आप कैसे अक्यूज कर सकते हो. सम ऑफ देम स्पैट ऑन हर एंड ड्रोव हर आउट, और उसको जेतवन मोनास्ट्री से निकाल दिया. शी रैन एज फास्ट एज शी कुड, एंड व्हेन शी हैड गॉन सम डिस्टेंस द अर्थ क्रैक्ड एंड फिशर्ड एंड शी वाज swallowed up. थोड़े दूरी के बाद earth cracked or fissured, or she was swallowed by the earth. The next day, while the bhikkhus were talking about Chinch Manvika, the Buddha came to them and said, "Bhikkhus, one who is not afraid to tell lies and who does not care what happens in the future existence will not hesitate to do any evil." And he spoke this verse. इस वर्ष में बेसिकली यही बोला उन्होंने भगवान बुद्ध ने कि जो झूठ बोलने से घबराता नहीं है और इस चीज़ की परवाह नहीं करता कि उसके फ्यूचर एग्जिस्टेंस में उससे कैसा जन्म लेने वाला है, तो ही विल नॉट हेसिटेट टू डू एनी इविल. तो ये कहानी है और वर्ष इस प्रकार है. एकं धम्मं अतीतस्य मुस्सावादिस्य जन्तुनो वित्तिं परलोकस्य नत्ति पापं अकार्यं. तो exactly line by line नहीं है, but I think you can get a sense of what is the translation. For a liar who has violated the one law, and the one law, ekang dhammang, I think here is referring to the law of truthfulness. For a liar who has violated the one law of truthfulness, who holds in scorn the hereafter, within paralokas, there is no evil that he cannot do. Natti papang akaryam. अजान मनिंदो का रेंडरिंग है. For one who transgresses the law of truthfulness, one who has no regard for a future existence, there is no manner of evil that is impossible. I guess the law of truthfulness here in some sense refers to the law of karma, because truthfulness is a quality that bright karma has, whereas dark karma is that of lying.
इसमें एलिमेंट ऑफ फियर जो बात कर रहे हैं कि फ्यूचर एग्जिस्टेंस की होगी, उसके बारे में कुछ
आखिरी लाइन का शायद यही मतलब है, नत्थि पापंग अकार्यं. उसको किसी भी पाप से उसको कोई रोक नहीं सकता, किसी भी इविल करने से. फियर का तो शायद नहीं है डायरेक्टली इसमें. I don't know.
अगर there is who has no regard for a future existence.
हाँ, बेसिकली इग्नोरेंट है. in some sense हमारी तरह थोड़ा बहुत इनको ठीक से पता नहीं है इन चीज़ों के बारे में, शायद यही मतलब है, मैं तो यही मतलब निकाल रहा हूँ, बट maybe Prasadhar can clarify or somebody else can clarify.
Yeah. See, moral fear is one of the universal good qualities. Hiri and Uttappa.
Hiri and Uttappa.
Yeah. So moral shame and moral fear. मतलब गलत काम करने के प्रति डर होना एक अच्छा गुण है.
जी.
Comparing with the other जो हमने last verse पढ़ा है और अभी ये पढ़ रहे हैं, तो उसमें हम एक more than मतलब जो सुपर नेचुरल पावर्स है उसके बारे में बात कर रहे हैं, where there is a apprehension कह सकते हैं, या फिर जो आज हमारे माइंड से एक्सेसिबल नहीं है, और यहाँ पर फियर की बात हो रही है. तो दोनों चीजें में there is that is beyond and this is I don't know मैं कैसे बोलूँ इसको, कि जैसे आप फियर को भी that is also it's a conditioned mind which comes with your surroundings, उससे आ रहा है ना, like आपकी जो conditioning है.
Yeah. All sankharas are conditioned, yes, of course. There are wholesome mental states, unwholesome mental states. And in the wholesome mental states, Hiri and Uttappa are present. If they are not present, mind state is not wholesome. This is the teaching, fundamental, one of the basic teachings, you know.
Yeah.
It says Hiri and Uttappa are the protection of the words.
जी.
हम कई बार पढ़ चुके हैं ना, पिछले वासम में पढ़ उसकी काफी चर्चा की थी, नगर उपमा सप्ताह में. जैसे एक किला है, उसके बाहर पानी का मोट बनाया जाता है, एक सड़क बनी जाती है जिसपे सिपाही घूमते हैं. That is the first level of protection. So Hiri and Uttappa are the first level of protection for us from unwholesome actions.
In a way, that is an acceptance of things as मतलब उसका कोई realization नहीं है ना सर.
We have overplayed this world acceptance. I'm sorry.
सर ये तो आप मान ही रहे हो ना कि फ्यूचर एग्जिस्टेंस होगी.
हाँ हाँ, वो तो बात है. उसकी बात कर रही हो कि फियर की बात कर रही है?
नहीं फियर की बात नहीं कर रही हूँ सर. फ्यूचर एग्जिस्टेंस आप मान रहे हो तभी आपको फियर आने वाले है. Otherwise,
very true. Of course, there can be fear of law also, you know it well. But fear of society.
So that means it is required. I mean, it is important. जैसा भी कह लीजिए कि थोड़ी
भगवान यही कह रहे हैं यहाँ पर कि वो फियर बड़ा इम्पोर्टेंट है मोरालिटी के लिए.
Not just morality, I think so.
Basic teaching बता रहा हूँ ना मैं आपको. I'm not talking of other world. I'm not talking of other world. I'm talking of, she says these are the guardians of the world. अगर सोसाइटी में हिरी उत्तप्पा नहीं रहेगा तो वो डिस्ट्रॉय हो जाएगी जैसा हो रही है. That's it. So he's talking of very basic human existence. That if society doesn't have hiri and uttappa, it will get broken apart in due course. And we can see that. To the extent we have given up these good qualities, so the society is really getting fragmented. So that is one thing, and the future existence is another thing.
I think what Prasadhar is saying is that there are two issues that we should keep in mind here. One is the teaching of Hiri and Uttappa. The other is that if you follow a virtuous conduct, you are assured of a good future, or good future birth. So that has been in the teaching of Bhagwan, in every teaching almost.
There's a very actually interesting sutta in which he says, even if you don't believe in the other world,
Correct.
well, there's nothing to lose by following morality.
Kalam Sutta.
No, there's another sutta in which he gives a kind of rational explanation to people कि भाई कैसे क्यों करें इसको,
हाँ,
हम morality
जी,
को follow क्यों करें? कहते अगर नहीं follow करोगे तो मान लो, suppose this assumption that there is future existence is true, then you will be in trouble. And suppose that assumption is wrong, then you will suffer in this world. But if you follow morality, then irrespective of whether that statement is true or false, you are safe. So it gives a kind of a
जी.
rational
I remember
explanation.
that. It's a very nice sutta.
भाई इसमें फायदा ही है, नुकसान नहीं है. और क्योंकि आपको मालूम नहीं है कि भविष्य का एग्जिस्टेंस है या नहीं है, it is better to be on the safer side rather than on the dangerous side. So that's the kind
I
of
was
argument.
trying to say that there are things which we accept as a conditioned mind.
ऐसे
to
अभी
believe
विशाल
in.
ने कहा, there is a faith involved in it. Faith is the very first teaching. When you have verified so many teachings of the Buddha, we assume that he is not telling us a lie. And I'm putting it very bluntly. Isn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah, of course. To initiate, I mean, till the time you realize you
Yeah.
accept.
You have that's why he say it is a tentative faith and it becomes confidence once you verify it. So since we have verified so many of his teachings by practice, we feel कि बाकी भी जो बात कही वो भी सत्य ही होंगी, जैसा भी विशाल ने कहा था ना, which seems to be quite a sensible thing to do, because then we'll be able to proceed with it,
The other thing I think the Buddha has talked about in a few suttas is that the mind that is breaking the precepts is a mind that has negative, sort of as a negative mind, is a mind that is devoid of like the wholesome mental states, and a mind that is filled with unwholesome mental states is not able to find peace. So even if you were to look at it from a very purely self-centered and selfish point of view, the mind that is keeping the precepts is usually the mind that is at peace and has happiness. And I think at somewhere in the Pali Canon, the Buddha talks about a mind that is filled with wholesome states is the mind that can get concentrated, can go into samadhi and then follow through with that. So I think even from that perspective, Poonamji, I think a mind that keeps the precepts is a happier mind.
No, I'm not questioning that. I'm just taking that small part. Fear of future existence is already a conditioned mind, and you accept certain things initially you accept certain things, and with your experiences it goes beyond. Like in other words, we were saying we are not accepting things which are supernatural, and that is also not acceptable, but still there is a basic what you may call faith or you may call fear. These are elements which are though conditioned, still helpful for us to to navigate in the society bhi aise bhi, or even for spiritual path also. That's what I was.
Yeah. See, we move from unwholesome mental states to wholesome mental states. That's the progression. We can't keep on saying this is conditioned, therefore it doesn't matter. No, that's very dangerous to say. You see? So I'm just assuming that, so you may not be meaning it, that since every state is unconditioned, therefore it doesn't mean we are looking for unconditioned. No, that will be a disaster in our practice. We have to, there's a graduated path we should follow. That's why it is said, you move from worldly happiness to otherworldly happiness to transcendent happiness. And in the worldly happiness is included the happiness of blamelessness. And my behavior and conduct is blameless, which includes not telling lies, not hurting others, not deceiving, not slandering, sexual misconduct, that's a part of basic blameless conduct. So even for the basic householder who wants to live a purely worldly existence, it's very clearly we can also, and it's not that he has spelled it out, we know it from our experience, isn't it? So that's the gradations in which we progress. And they're all conditioned, of course. Even samadhi is conditioned, even the psychic powers are conditioned, isn't it? Other than nibbana, there's nothing which is unconditioned. So we transcend the conditions. We don't despise them. We don't reduce their importance.
धर सर जैसे अभी मॉरल फियर की बात कर रहे हैं और उसका ग्रेजुअल ऑन द पाथ, इज इट आल्सो रिलेटेड टू अ माइलस्टोन जो सुनने में आता है, जैसे भयन्यान की बात होती है, भयन्यान जागता है.
Yeah, that is associated with Adinava Jnana, is associated with the fact that there are if I'm reborn, there'll be so many unpleasant things which will happen with me. Yeah. So it's all associated with the process of rebirth, transcending the rebirth. That's the whole search of the Buddha was how do you go beyond aging and death. That's why he left the palace in the first place. He had a very nice life. There's no reason for him to leave. He may have many reasons, but he didn't have any reasons other than that. The quest to find out, is it possible to go beyond birth and death, birth, aging, illness, and death? That's what we study.
Thank you, sir.
So I think we had a very good discussion और मुझे लगता नहीं है कि मेरी रिफ्लेक्शन की अब कोई जरूरत है, because probably
you can just show it to us and we'll stop. We'll not have any discussion if you feel so. आपने लिखा तो देख तो ले.
So Shad, I think I forgot to bring the point of Hiri and Uttupa here, which is very relevant really. Basically ये कह रहा हूँ कि शील is the very foundation of Dhamma practice. जैसे कि अभी विशाल जी ने भी बोला, without शील there simply can be any Dhamma practice. There cannot be any Dhamma practice. क्योंकि Dhamma is all about exploring the inner truth of reality as we experience it. If we are not truthful in dealing with the mundane world of apparent reality, then what hope exists for the honest appraisal of our innermost feelings and perceptions that distort the reality within us? कि अगर हम दुनियादारी में भी सच्चाई का पालन नहीं कर सकते, तो अंदर की सच्चाई जानने की क्या पॉसिबिलिटी हो सकती है? So there is one part of the teaching that needs to be understood well. The other equally important part is the non-truth. That non-truth or lies or unwholesome actions that are aligned with the defilements of the mind and serve the interests of all that is associated with greed, hatred and conceit. झूठ जो है बेसिकली डिफाइलमेंट्स के साथ ही अलाइंड है और ये सब हमें अच्छी तरह से मालूम है. When greed arises, truth is a first likely victim. जैसे कि प्रसाद हरवी बता रहे हैं कि अगर हम आज की दुनिया की हालत देखें तो सब साफ नजर आता है. Look at the advertising industry today. How we are fed with lies about the products with a view to increase their sale. Such lies are behind all harmful products that promote our unwholesome desires, perhaps for artificial beauty or other such things, sometimes with total disregard for the harm that they may cause to our health and well-being. Just an example. Our social life today is full of frauds of all kinds, which cause immense harms to large populations. I think हर रोज न्यूज़पेपर्स में कई प्रकार की कहानियां सुनने को मिलती हैं. Unfortunately, science and technology, which are meant to promote public good, have often been effective tools for promotion of fraud and lies. तो भगवान कुछ एग्जांपल्स महाभारत का भी मैंने ऐसे एग्जांपल ले दिया, कुछ मेंशन किया जनरल, but I leave that alone. In fact, history is full of events and wars that are founded on big or small lies of one kind or another. So finally, I would like to conclude by saying that as Dhamma practitioners, lies are enemies that are difficult to counter. Best hope is to admit to the fault even when we might have spoken an untruth unknowingly. So I think all this is now probably not very relevant after a lovely discussion that we have already. So thank you for your kind attention.
I'd just like to make one comment. I'm just reminded. This verse कहते हैं ना शुरू में एक धम्मम अतीतस्य. So it's giving extraordinary importance to the precept of telling truths. You know, there are, and the reason is that if we just stick to that, others will automatically fall in place because you'll not be able to hide them.
So that is why it's called Ek Dhamma.
Yeah, that is the one. If you break, then there's no evil which you cannot do. So that's a very important statement, actually. And in the Jataka stories, you find that as a bodhisattva, because Buddha went through innumerable lives and sometimes in hell also, he did during this journey, he had to transgress some of the precepts. For example, killing one mandate he had to kill and so on. That's the stories. But he never transgressed this one, Ek Dhamma. So throughout his whole journey as a bodhisattva, he slowly perfected others also, but this one was never left. That's what the
I was looking for some such story, but I couldn't immediately remember that.
Yeah, there is a story of चोर को बोलते हैं ना कि there was a story. Maybe I'll share with you. जो चोर सिर्फ एक ही सत्य बोलने का ही शील पालन करता है और बाकी सब करता नहीं है, तो फिर he transcend from that. So that was really. There are many. I mean, I fully appreciate what you're saying, actually. So,
that's why this word Ek Dhammam is written there. Thank you very much, Professor.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Vishal, for your nice intersections. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
So, इसी के साथ अब हम थोड़ी देर शांत बैठेंगे. Let's sit till 6:58. Then we'll do closing. Thank you.